and the All Indiana Podcast Network. This is the News 8 Daily 8 Podcast, a Wish TV News 8 update.
Hello, I'm Jeremy Jenkins, and this is your News 8 Daily 8 Podcast for Monday, August 25th.
Audible's romance collection has something to satisfy every side of you. When it comes to what kind of romance you're into, you don't have to choose just one. Fancy a dalliance with a duke, or maybe a steamy billionaire. You could find a book boyfriend in the city and another one tearing it up on the hockey field. And if nothing on this earth satisfies, you can always find love in another realm. Discover modern rom-coms from authors like Lily Chu and Ali Hazelwood, the latest romantasy series from Sarah J. Maas and Rebecca Yarros, plus Regency favorites like Bridgerton and Outlander. And of course, all the really steamy stuff. Your first great love story is free when you sign up for a free 30-day trial at audible.com/Wondery. That's audible.com/Wondery.
This message is sponsored by Greenlight. With school out, summer is the perfect time to teach our kids real-world money skills they'll use forever. Greenlight is a debit card and the #1 family finance and safety app used by millions of families, helping kids learn how to save, invest, and spend wisely. Parents can send their kids money and track their spending and saving, while kids build money confidence and skills in fun ways. Start your risk-free Greenlight trial today at greenlight.com/Wondery. That's greenlight.com/Wondery.
We begin in Indianapolis, where the trial is set to begin for a former IMPD officer charged with raping a woman following a domestic violence call. The Marion County Prosecutor's Office says Myron Howard was among the officers called to a domestic violence report in January of last year. Officers arrested a suspect and left, but about 15 minutes later, prosecutors say Howard returned to the home and raped the woman who had initially called police. ITmate later learned that during questioning, Howard told police he had sex with numerous people while on duty as an officer in Yorktown and Anderson prior to his work in Indianapolis. IMPD fired Howard in March of last year. He faces felony charges of rape, criminal confinement, and official misconduct. As we wait for word on when detained immigrants will be brought to Indiana, protesters are again calling on the state to not use Camp Atterbury. Garrett Bergquist reports.
About 200 protesters gathered at a park just outside Camp Atterbury here in Johnson County. They say its planned use as an ICE detention facility is an affront to its history.
No more ICE in our streets!
These protesters say holding hundreds of suspected illegal immigrants at Camp Atterbury amounts to repeating history, and not in a good way.
So I came out here today to protest what are essentially concentration camps in America. I have been to Warsaw, Poland. I have done World War II history. I have been to a Treblinka, which is a memorial to a concentration camp was there. And I don't want that in our history.
When I enlisted, I took an oath to defend the Constitution from threats, both foreign and domestic. ICE is that domestic threat that ICE was sworn against. And so I urge all veterans to stand up against this.
Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth last month said ICE will build a temporary detention facility at Camp Atterbury. The facility is a federal installation managed by the Indiana National Guard. Officials say they still don't know whether ICE or the Guard will be responsible for day-to-day operations at the camp.
I think that the president and his administration is right on the mark to try to get this done. I don't have any concerns whatsoever with the security of that facility. Camp Atterbury is the right place. We've held refugees there before for humanitarian purposes, and with the refugees in Afghanistan, I think it's the right move.
Brad Meyer disagrees. He organized Sunday's protest and plans to run against Houchin next year.
They helped 85,000 wounded soldiers. A couple of years ago, they had a whole bunch of Afghan people come in. That was their first point of contact in the United States. They have a long history of caring for people, and now they're going to be used as a detention center, and that's just incongruent with their history.
The group ended its demonstration with a drive-by protest outside Camp Atterbury's main gate. Meyer says he plans to hold another protest in October, this time outside Houchin's Salem field office. At Camp Atterbury, I'm Garrett Bergquist for Wish TV and WishTV.com.
In other news, the state has proposed changes to Medicaid waivers that could cut therapy options for people with disabilities. A recreational therapist tells us she is especially worried about cuts to the family supports waiver and the community integration and habilitation waiver.
These proposed caps would set hard limits that are not person-centered, that everybody would have to follow. And so it does not meet the needs of the individuals.
The state says it's making the cuts because hours being billed include the time it takes therapists to travel to and from patients. The state says it's reviewing public comments before sending a final proposal to the Federal Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. If it's approved, the cuts would take effect next year. In Tippecanoe County, sheriff's deputies have arrested a man for an outstanding warrant following a vehicle crash. The sheriff's office says deputies went to a home yesterday looking for 22-year-old Noah Conley for a probation violation related to a car theft and operating a vehicle while intoxicated. The deputies say Conley arrived in his vehicle, saw deputies, and sped off. It led to a chase that the sheriff's office says lasted 25 minutes before ending near the Bug Creek community. Deputies say no one was hurt during the chase. Let's talk sports. The Pacers' Tyrese Haliburton says he and Caitlin Clark are connecting more as they recover from injuries. Haliburton hosted another youth basketball camp, walking around in a boot on Saturday as he recovers from a torn Achilles tendon. He told reporters that rehab means he and the Fever star see each other pretty often.
You know, it sucks that she's been hurt for as long as she has, but just for us to be able to communicate, even in her recovery, we lift at the same time, so it's like just us two in the weight room, so we spend a lot of time together. I guess it's a good thing, but I wish that she was playing rather, but I think it's just good to have each other to lean on in a time like right now.
Haliburton will miss the Pacers' upcoming season. There is still no word on when Clark may return to the court. Speaking of Clark, without her, the Indiana Fever are hanging on as they fight for a playoff spot, but the roster is running thin. The Fever are now down 5 players from opening night, which includes Clark, who's missed 15 games straight. This week, the Fever signed Shea Petty to a hardship contract. She made all 3 of her 3-point shots yesterday, but it wasn't enough. The first-place Lynx beat the Fever in Minnesota 97-84. With 7 games left, Indiana is tied with Golden State for 7th place in the league. If the season ended today, they would barely get into the playoffs. The Fever host the Seattle Storm tomorrow night. Tip-off is at 7. When it comes to the weather, we are feeling some calm and crisp temperatures. Storm Track 8 says things are finally starting to cool down a bit. Tara Hastings has your News 8 Daily 8 forecast.
We started out in the lower 50s early this morning, which we have not seen these temperatures since about early June. So it's been a while. We're at 67 degrees right now under mainly sunny skies. We've got those winds out of the northwest at 14 miles per hour. However, with the sunshine, still feels pretty good out there. We're at 64, South Bend, Kokomo, Lafayette, and Fort Wayne. We have a little bit more cloud cover farther northward and even a few very isolated showers right around South Bend. But that's about it. We're going to be dry, I think, all day today here in Indianapolis and point southward as well. We've got a few of those clouds moving in from South Bend across parts of Fort Wayne. But overall, mainly sunny conditions expected for today. And I think this weather pattern is going to be really, really quiet as we head into the next several days. You see from that live shot, that camera view, we had a few puffy fair weather cumulus clouds popping up. I think that's what we're going to see throughout the afternoon today. Lots of sunshine expected, and those temperatures will be on the cooler side. In fact, running about 10 to 11 degrees below normal for this time of year. 73 in Indianapolis, but we'll stay in the 60s for areas like South Bend, Kokomo, and Fort Wayne. It does get on the cooler side tonight. We'll talk about how low temperatures will go and how long these cooler temps will stick around, all in my 7-day forecast.
For a look at Tara's full forecast, just head over to wishtv.com, or you can download the Wish TV Storm Track 8 app. And don't forget to check out our Storm Track 8 weather blogs. This has been your News 8 Daily 8 podcast for Monday, August 25th. I'm Jeremy Jenkins for Wish TV and wishtv.com.
This is the News 8 Daily 8 podcast, a Wish TV News 8 update on demand. For even more, on demand and on the go. Connect with Wish TV on Facebook at wishtv.com and on the free Wish TV mobile app. Thank you for listening. And be sure to like, subscribe, and follow this podcast for updates every weekday morning on the All Indiana Podcast Network and wherever you get your podcast.